1. New wireless voice message. First new message.
Hey Maya, it's Vanessa. Just making sure we're all good for our call later tonight. I haven't heard from you in a while. Anyway, you should get outside today. It's actually nice for once. But yeah, I'll talk to you then. Bye.
Today, I went on a little walk. You know what I find so funny? Even with all of the craziness going on in our world on the inside, people quarantine, watching the news, and just thinking, when I go outside, everything is just so quiet. It's as if nature isn't aware of the current events. And I've made it a new metaphor for life and our own personal battles. No matter what's going on the outside, all of the beauty and the calm exterior, there's a battle happening right now, inside, behind closed doors. And now I'm not saying that the glamour and the beauty is a bad thing, but it's important to remember that there are two sides of the story, especially right now. So my question is, how are these inside factors impacting our teens on the outside? And what does our future look like? Today we sat down with 9 different teenagers to discuss the impact of the pandemic on their lives and their worries of this uncertain future. Alright, so what's your name?
My name is Tajaya Williams.
Alexa Maxwell.
Andrew Palucci.
Marissa Basti.
Jack Grant.
Celeste Betancourt.
Devin Curran.
Kenzie Tester.
Owen Adams.
How old are you?
I'm 15 years old.
I am 16 years old.
16.
16.
16.
16.
17.
16.
16 years old.
What things do you stress about in terms of the future?
We're gonna have to start thinking about what do we want to do?
Mostly just where my life is gonna be.
Where I'm gonna live and how I'm gonna ever afford a house.
Where I'm gonna go in school.
If I have any other job in the future that's not in the film industry, I feel like I've probably failed.
Whether or not you're going to be successful.
Totally lacking motivation right now to do any schoolwork, and it's just is that going to affect me further down?
My family and friends, you really never know what's going to happen.
I'm definitely worried a lot about the pandemic and the rest of my high school years.
Do you ever worry about how things will look after the pandemic is over?
I do. I think people are permanently gonna have their minds changed based on this.
Everything that we had before is just going to change, and it's going to have so many new rules.
We chose to adapt to the pandemic rather than overcome it. It's going to take forever for us to go back to how things were before, if we ever will.
I'm more excited about how people are gonna change and how exciting it's going to be able to do things with other people.
Everything is really uncertain and I have no clue what the future is going to actually be like. It's going to be a different world in 10 years.
I know how to stay safe and stuff, but I don't get too in depth and reading every article every day because it's just sad.
The pandemic, the riots, every single bad thing that happened in 2020, it's gonna reflect on our future.
I definitely do worry about it. We're not really gonna go back to our normal lives, and we're gonna have to start to accept a new normal.
What's something that changed in your daily life due to the restrictions?
Okay, on a list, my job, I work in fast food. I had to wear a mask at all times and wear gloves at all times. It's actually kind of weird to think that there was a time I was making food without gloves.
Having to log on and sit through a 3-hour class is just so draining.
There was so much time to spare. So I was like, you know what? Let me take a couple more shifts at work. And then I started working 6 days a week. I got a taste of what working is truly.
I went from going to baseball practice every day after school and lifting at the gym for 2 hours to throwing in my garage and lifting for an hour. And then that's it, doing the same thing every day.
For sure, I'm worried about, are we always going to have to wear masks, and the way that we learn. I think all of it's subject to change because of this.
Seeing my friends is what brings me the most happiness. I think that's definitely really affected my mental health.
It stopped me from talking to a lot of people who I wasn't that close with. So a lot of relationships that were really strained completely fizzled out, which in some senses was a good thing. But then on the other hand, people that I was just starting to get to know, it just fell apart.
The second time around, it was more serious because we're doing school online now. And now that I have a job, I always have to be safe at work.
I play the piano and cello. I haven't performed in a year now. Music is meant to be played with other people and meant to be shared. Whereas there's 100 kids playing all together in one room. I forgot what that feeling meant to me and stuff and took it for granted for sure.
Do you find all these new practices unmotivating or just not the same?
It's unmotivating and it's not the same. I miss going to school and seeing people and eating cafeteria cookies. I miss it.
We're stuck doing Zoom workouts as a team. If you send a 1 rep max video to the group chat, the coach says add 20 pounds, keep pushing. So yeah, I like that.
The thing I miss the most, and I think a lot of people miss the most, is just interacting with people and just like the randomness. And like that's what kind of keeps me going and stuff.
I wake up, I go to my first period class, and I fall asleep. I have no motivation for it. I'm gonna go on my phone, I'm gonna look at what my friends sent me, or I'm gonna go on TikTok.
Online school is like torture for 80% of the kids that go to our school. Nothing gets done, and it's nobody's fault. We were never taught how to sit in our rooms and focus by ourselves.
Absolutely. No matter what, if I'm at home or in school, I'm so tired at school. But at home, the thing is that I'm actually going to sleep. And if I was at school, obviously I wouldn't do that. Way less motivation for me to actually want to do any of that.
No social interaction, there's no like going to the cafeteria and having lunch, no like good conversations with your teacher, like it's just not the same.
Every day feels like the exact same day. You don't have social interaction of like being with people to like motivate you to want to like do work.
Going to school was just, it really motivated me. I was seeing different people every day. It was putting me in a good mood. But now it's kind of like I'm waking up every morning. It's the same thing every single day. I feel like I'm not living, I'm just surviving.
Does the uncertainty of our immediate future stress you out or make you overthink?
Yes, we've already wasted so much time. You're not gonna get the future that you wanted. It's gonna be completely different.
This is the biggest year for baseball, and I was excited to have opportunities to look at schools in the US, but those opportunities aren't gonna be there this year.
It doesn't cause me to be like stressed. We gotta take things one day at a time.
Just like COVID and all of it, it takes over my like thinking a lot.
I think at the beginning it did. Like now that it's getting to a point where it's like you're watching a movie and you're like, where's their mask?
This is like our time. There's lots I'm missing out on. That sucks.
Thinking about grade 12, not being able to have like a real prom or a real graduation, it just would make me so sad to think that if this doesn't end now, why can we expect to have a prom or a graduation?
I think all the time about, is it going to be completely normal or is this the new normal? And that's really scary to think about.
This is not what I thought my life would be. And if anything, this whole pandemic has just shown how quickly things can change and how you will not be prepared for them, which makes me think like, what's going to hit me next? Am I going to have the resources to deal with it too?
Do you find that stressing and overthinking about these things that are like out of your control helpful or harmful?
Well, in my case, it was harmful. Some people, they got their goals during the pandemic, and other people, they didn't. They probably got worse when it comes to mental health.
I've like seen things that like it'll never go away and we'll never go back to that and stuff. I feel maybe as time goes on, it'll be less scary.
In some ways, it can be helpful as it pushes me every day to just keep working because I know eventually it's going to get better.
As long as you're staying safe, there's no need to worry about the extreme.
This was kind of just added pressure to everybody's life that none of us really needed.
I think in some aspects it can be helpful, but it's mostly harmful for me. This has me up all night, like terrified of what my future is going to be like, and it's so harmful to my mental health.
All you can do is fix what's happening in the present so that maybe the future will be better.
At this point, I'm more concerned for my mental health than I am for my physical health. As soon as I'm allowed to see somebody, I still will. Now that I've been like this for so long, I feel like I kind of have to, even if it's not as safe, you know?
Exactly, because just seeing people is like such a huge part of your mental health, and we even talked about that last episode. Like that's a huge thing. What's something that you've started to do as a result of all the restrictions that's actually improved your mental health?
I find recipes on TikTok, and then I just go and I cook. When my mom comes home from work, I'll be like, Mom, I made you food. She doesn't always eat it like right then and there, but she says thank you. And she's like, oh, this is good. And I'm like, yeah, it makes me happy.
My baseball team has been doing these things like mental training. Those videos have been helping me a lot, and just take time to just think about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, to keep going. Keep pushing.
I'd say probably getting a job, just a way of getting out of the house and not staying isolated 24/7.
Family and I, we started doing a lot of puzzles recently. We've been getting to spend time together, and it's been like a fun little activity that we can do.
Some things like just turned out to be positive. Like not having to travel places is so nice. It was 30 minutes, but I had to drive 30 minutes there, drive 30 minutes back. Like that hour now I can use for homework.
Working out, I've had like a little bit of extra time, so I figured like why not give it a go. And when people say like working out does like actually make you feel better, it does. It makes me kind of feel free for a minute, and I like it.
This year, like for the new year, as my New Year's resolution, I was like, okay, you're gonna complete this challenge, this 28 day challenge, exercising every day and doing something fun like that. It just kind of brightens everything. And it also gives me something to be proud of. The way that your mindset changes so quickly is unbelievable.
I find that I have a lot of time for myself, which is very positive and very negative at the same time. Having free time to yourself can be really good because you need to unwind and you need to, kind of process things that are happening in your life. Too much of that becomes like an overthinking piece.
I try to walk every day. I don't like walking. It's just like, as long as I'm not in the house, then I can feel better about stuff.
This is kind of, if you've watched the first video, a little bit of a segment we like to call Fact and React. So I'm gonna kind of tell you a statistic or a fact.
Oh, I love this part.
It's true, if it makes sense to you, that type of thing. So it is said that regular use of natural areas for physical activity can reduce the risk of mental health problems by 50%, according to a study done by the Harvard Health Association. Does this surprise you?
Not really. Like the first lockdown, me and my family, we were outside all the time. And like the second time around, you could just tell we're more like antsy and like angry.
I'm not shocked at all, actually. Being outside and changing scenery and doing something different that is not inside four walls in your room makes all the difference.
I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised. It just kind of wakes me up and makes me feel like I'm not trapped in my house.
Yeah, when I go outside, I feel better. But that's only because like I'm just by myself with my music, but there's nowhere to go. So there's no reason for me to go outside.
Actually, I don't think this surprises me that much. When you're stuck inside for so long, you're doing the same things every day. You're looking at your screen for longer. You gotta just refresh your memory and just go outside.
Fresh air is a very common used term, but I didn't really appreciate the concept of it until now. Like, there's actually a huge difference.
I have personally noticed the positive impacts like being outside has had on my mental health. So it's hard in the winter, but I find like if I go for a walk with my dog, like I'm cold and it's like sometimes snowy and dark outside, but I try to make the most of it.
Sometimes it's like you don't even realize that like you're not going outside.
The fact that it's 50%, that's such a big number. That surprises me. But the thought of like being outside, the wind in your hair, everything, it just really does make you feel so much better for a minute. It kind of brings you back to reality, and like there's so much more to just school and your worries and stuff. Like once you get outside, you realize that there's a whole world around you and there's so much more.
We always like to end it off with like a positive question. If you could say one thing to your past self in February of 2020, what would you say?
Oh, your life's about to change drastically and you won't even know what hit you.
Stay positive, start working out, do what you can do.
I find since February, like I feel like I'm a bit of a different person because I've been through a lot. So I would say to her, like, get ready, like it's gonna be a bit challenging, but it's worth it. It'll all work out in the end.
Take things less seriously. We've gone through so much that it can't get worse. Like, I don't want to say that now and then it gets worse, but like
don't take what you have for granted. And like really enjoy your life at the moment. You never know what you have until it's gone. Like I just wish I could tell myself to like not waste away every moment being sad.
I would tell February Devin to soak it all up and to not take anything for granted because there are so many things that are about to happen.
It gets worse before it gets better. You're gonna go through something in your life that is traumatic and it's gonna test you and your mental health and it's gonna make you into the person that you want to be.
Things do suck, but I'm not actually alone. Because sometimes I have felt pretty alone, and I have a girlfriend who loves me, and I have parents who love me, and I have friends who love me, and sometimes I did feel like I was alone, but I'm actually not. I did learn that already, but I would have liked to learn it earlier.
I would just say good job. You've been through a lot and you're doing better, and oh my gosh. And your dad would be really proud of you. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Oh my god, Jaya. Oh god, I wanted to give you a hug. Oh.
We could do a virtual hug.
Virtual hug.
Virtual hug.
Thank you for watching this week's episode.
If you want to see more, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to be notified when we upload a new episode. To subscribe, click right here, and to see the full playlist of all the episodes, click right here. Thanks again for watching, and keep the conversation going.